4 years back, I was laid off. Right before getting laid off, my wife and we bought 2 investment properties. With 3 mortgages, ongoing expenses, and no health care, managing money was a challenge. As of last week, more than 22 million people filed for unemployment benefits. I sincerely hope your job is intact and you're doing awesome. But given the weird world that we are living in, it makes sense to stay informed and be prepared for anything out there. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Think Finance. My name is Raj, and on this channel, I talk about personal finance, investment ideas, money management tips, and all things finance. If you're new to the channel and finance is your thing, consider subscribing. In this video, I want to share a game plan, things you need to do in case it doesn't work out for you at your current job and you need to find another opportunity. Share tips and resources that should provide some financial relief and speed up job hunting. Everything that I'm sharing in this video will be linked in the description. Let's get to it. The number one thing you need to do is file for unemployment. You can do this online as well. US Department of Labor has put together a website with everything you need. Don't forget, as part of the CARES Act, government will provide an additional $600 per person per week through July. The next most important task is letting your friends and professional contacts know that you are back in the job market. For whatever reason, I did not do this early enough. I spent almost 4 months before letting my friends and contacts know that I'm looking for a job. And when I actually did, within 2 weeks, I had a job. Lesson learned, this is something you want to do day one. Talk to HR and figure out how long a company will continue offering health insurance coverage. A lot of companies offer some form of coverage, maybe through the end of the month, or at least 30 days of additional coverage from the last day of work. You need to know when your coverage ends, since you could potentially enroll for COBRA. The problem with COBRA is you will be required to pay the monthly premium. This can get really expensive when you're not receiving any form of income. Typically, on an average, premium will run around $7,000 per year for an individual and over $19,000 for a family coverage. You can also tap into online marketplace to find affordable healthcare. eHealthInsurance.com and healthcare.gov are a good starting point. Few other points to discuss with HR. While not required, companies may offer severance for laid-off employees. In a best-case scenario, you might be eligible for 26 months of pay. Severance is also something that you can negotiate. Also, you may be entitled to get compensated for any accrued vacation, sick leaves, or paid time off. Typically, this ends up being another check when you leave. Something to note, not every state is required to pay out unused vacation. Finally, figure out process to get a letter of recommendation. You may need it in future. It is also a good practice to identify who can be your reference in the company. You will be asked to provide some references when applying for a new job opportunity. Make sure you have these lined up. Cut down on expenses. Anything non-essential or discretionary needs to be out. Delay any major purchases like appliances or a car. Once the discretionary expenses are out, figure out where else can you cut back. Maybe temporarily stop buying organic groceries. Just saying. There are some really useful apps out there that can help you manage your budget. Personally, I use Mint and it works great. Of course, you'll have to deal with all kinds of debt, including credit cards, car payment, and mortgage. I will throw in utilities in this category as well. Most companies these days are offering some form of relief. Put together a quick list and call each company individually and see if they can provide some relief. The recently passed CARES Act also offers some relief. For example, if you experience financial hardship, you have a right to request forbearance on mortgage for up to 180 days, and it can be extended for additional 180 days. This is the time to use your emergency fund. If you don't have any emergency fund or savings, then here are some more options to tap into. Of course, not recommended, but in tough times, these can act as options. Temporarily use credit cards to manage expenses. Use them wisely since interest on credit cards is usually outrageous. See if you can find some low-interest cash advance offers. If you have a house, then maybe you have a HELOC or home equity line of credit. I have a line of credit on my house and use it whenever I need some cash. In this low interest rate environment, that is a pretty good option. Interest rate is at 3.25% right now. Cheap money. Again, not recommended, but you can now withdraw money from your 401k account without a penalty. The recently signed CARES Act makes this possible. You don't have to worry about your existing 401k right away, but at some point you will have to think through this. I usually roll over 401k from my old job to a Roth IRA. I get more control on investments, and it's just one account to manage. Link on the screen if you want to know more about this topic. Also, as part of the recently signed CARES Act, you have the option to withdraw up to $100,000 penalty-free from 401k. Of course, it is strongly recommended not to touch your retirement money unless the world is really falling apart. And finally, let's get that job. As you're managing everything else, remember your most important task is to find another job. This probably deserves a separate video, but here are some quick tips I've used in the past. I talked about this at the beginning of the video. Spread the word. Let friends and professional contacts know that you're looking for a job. And don't forget past companies you worked with. Given the situation, it might make sense to go back, stay there, buy some time until you figure out what you want to do next. I don't know about you guys, but I often get this question when I'm out there looking for a job. What are you looking for? It's important to have a precise story around this question. Basically, you need to think about what you want to do next and what kind of companies you're targeting. Make sure your resume is up to date and ready to go. It should clearly articulate a story you're trying to tell. And of course, your LinkedIn profile should align to your resume. I would say LinkedIn is even more important these days than a formal resume. And then finally, practice. Anticipate questions, research companies, and nail your interviews. Now, if you're not looking for a job just yet, it still makes sense to work on some of these areas, keeping your resume and LinkedIn up to date, do some mild networking, or just continue staying awesome at work. Okay, that's all I have, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I know these are tough times right now, but this will pass. Stay sharp, stay positive, and have faith. If this was helpful, hit that like button, and if money gets you going, consider subscribing. Until next time, peace.